Well, welcome to season 3, episode 1 of what is this, Deeper Dive? It's the Sunday Extra podcast. That's what it is. It's been a minute. We've been off for a whole couple months, but we're back. We're refreshed. We've got tans.
Everybody looks 10 years younger.
Oh, yeah.
A little tan.
10 years younger. That's what it is. So we've been on a break, as Ross says. And what have y'all been doing on your break?
On your break.
What have you been doing, Pastor Matt?
What have I been doing? Well, I've been on a couple of trips. Mm-hmm. And I spent a lot of time reading and researching.
You've been in rooms that look a lot like this one.
You know what? I was going to say this. I'm feeling, it feels very familiar to me.
The smell of books.
And the smell of books. You know, I can tell you that this room smells a whole lot like the library at Gateway Seminary.
Oh, that's
There's just something about old books. You just kind of, you know.
It's like those wine tastings where you can smell like some of the pulpy after smells of whatever of your library.
So I did this one book that I was looking for. I ended up not finding it, but there's the main section of the library, and then there's like the bowels of the library where you took a special elevator down, like the only way to get down to this. Yes. Yeah. And those things where you have to turn the things, move it to move. I ended up not being able to find the book that I was supposed to be down there. I'm like, it's really frustrating too. You remember, go back old school, like the Dewey Decimal System, and you're like, this book is, HQ 147Z3.
That's Library of Congress. That's worse.
Okay, whatever. Yeah.
Sorry, I used to work at a library.
Okay, Library of Congress. Yeah, I don't. All I know is you feel like an idiot. You're like,
yes.
Do I not know how to count? Do I not know the alphabet?
And you waste so much time.
I did. Finally, I got in the zone and I realized how to do it. But so I'm down there and I'm like, I needed something 0.4. And literally there's 0.3 and there's 0.5.
Yep.
And I'm like, I can't find 0.4. So anyway, it wasn't there. But had I not been looking for that particular book, I would have missed the experience of going down into the archives and getting to turn those little wheels. Yeah. It's pretending like I was on a submarine.
There you go.
I'm the only one down there.
Did you get the little white gloves so your oils didn't get all over the pages?
They weren't those old of books.
Okay.
These are just were archived, things that, Actually, what's funny is that book that I was looking for wasn't even that old of a book. It just happened to be that section was in the archive.
It was published in 2021.
Now, I don't want to lose track of the fact that Brian just library shamed Matt. That's Library of Congress, Brian.
Well, it is confusing. Library of Congress, because, I don't...
Yes. I got school.
No, I was trying to sympathize because, in school, grade school and all that, at least in Kansas, I don't know what they do everywhere else, but there was a lot of training at the school library, like the elementary school. If you want to go in here and check out books, here's how you do the Dewey Decimal System, and the 600 are this, and the 800 are that, and all this kind of stuff. So that got me great all the way through college, and then I hit seminary here in Fort Worth, and everything was Library of Congress, which is a different numbering system, and I was lost as a goose. I couldn't, what section is any of this? I don't know how to find anything in this place. So I feel my pain. I feel your pain. Yeah. If it had just been a straight 800.60, okay, I know right where that is. No big deal. But alas.
Yeah.
Our government has come up with another system. And it's hard to understand.
There you go.
Shocking.
There you go. But no, we got a family vacation back at the end of May, beginning of June, and then we were all together. We had an adventure to Colorado. And end of June, the 17-6 Network Pastor Family Week. Definitely an adventure trying to get home that day. Yeah. I think I got to bed at 3:30.
What is it, morning. Like a 2-hour flight that lasted 12 hours or something?
Something like that. We were supposed to take off at 4:30. That's all I know.
Yeah, we got back. Yeah, I hit my head on my pillow at 4 a.m. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fun. Good time.
Yeah, but it was good trip.
So you've been working on a doctorate. You're working on a master's.
Yes. So I the summer was really fun to be on that trip. Our time as a family, we had also time as a family during vacation. But then the rest of it was wrapping up my assignments for my master's. And so, I turned in my last assignment, I think, last week. And so, coming up on just the finishing the final, just administrative stuff for that. And so I'm excited to figure out what I'm doing next with my life and the extra time that I have. Now,
my favorite assignment out of all that.
I have some ideas.
Okay. Yeah.
My favorite assignment out of that, because for the listening audience, I'm on your committee, so I'm reading all of the.
You're reading all the assignments that I'm turning.
But one of the assignments is both kind of an update of your professional resume as well as maybe writing for the very first time your ministerial resume. And I was enjoying reading that and then posting back to you like, so where are you planning to use these resumes in the future? So. I hope not soon.
Yeah, not soon. It's been really good just to.
May they grow dust.
It's because the program I'm in is associated with the Antioch Project, and so it's like I've finished up the Antioch Project, and this is the Master's of Divinity degree. A lot of the content that I utilize to the Antioch Project, working with a seminary who accredits that. So it's been fun just to finish up those last assignments and think about in the years of last 5 years, how God's worked amidst all of it. And so in the challenges and also opportunities from that. And so, so it's been a lot of on the job training, which has been really helpful.
Yeah. How about you, Jeremy? Are you working on any graduate degrees?
Nope.
I'm not either. Okay. So this side of the table is doing fine. What did you do?
Oh, we took.
We're not stressed out by studying and books and all those things.
We took a couple of trips last week. We actually went down to Fredericksburg. The family's been wanting to just go down there for a couple days and see Fredericksburg because you hear about Fredericksburg. Yeah, it's there.
There's a lot of.
It's true. It's there.
Shops.
Yeah.
Well, your wife's into pottery. I'm guessing there's a lot of crafty kind of places there.
And not so much. More of just old timey Texas town. I mean, it's got the German history, and I didn't know any of the German history. The German Texas, the Germans migrated over in the late 1800s, and that was neat. And got some German food, which. From everything I remember about German food, it sounds really awesome, and then it's just kind of bland, and that's what we got. Yep. So they nailed it. Good German food.
Schnitzel? Did you have some schnitzel?
I got Jaeger schnitzel, absolutely, with red cabbage. Red cabbage was actually probably the best part. It had spicy, vinegary, overcooked.
Yeah.
Kind of blew up in your mouth. It was actually, I liked it. Yeah, okay. Flavor wise, not like firecracker, but
gotcha. So it's not
flavor.
like Pop Rocks,
right?
Okay,
that would be good.
I've never known someone to say man, my favorite food was cabbage.
I know,
and I think that just that kind of encapsulates German food. Did you do?
I can't even say it. Schlitterbahn or anything?
No, we didn't have time.
Okay.
Yeah, my son's really not interested in that. Especially, backtrack. If he had a group of his friends, he would have been all about it. Going with mom and dad.
My kids down that hoo-ha in Colorado with his GoPro, and he seemed like he was having a good time.
Yeah. He was with friends.
There you go.
He wasn't with mom and dad.
Yes. There you go. So, again, for the listening audience, I'll say a story that you all know because you were there, but this place in Colorado had this summertime snow tubing hill, which was white astroturf that they then misted so it was wet, so you could slide down it and go over some hills and feel like you were sliding down the Rockies. It was fun. And John had his GoPro on his selfie stick, and I can't remember if it was just Micah or Micah and Casey got to go with him, and we got video footage of the craziness. It was good.
So I had this moment there. I didn't know whether to take it as a compliment or an insult, but they didn't have it very wet and misty when at the particular time that I was going on it. And I went down, and then they told us, one color tubes, the smaller ones were supposed to be faster than the other ones. And I just got a regular big tube. And so I went down, and you go down, and then it's kind of dipped, and then you go up. Well, I went up pretty far because of the momentum that I had, and like, you know, the college aged guy that's working there, he's like, wow, I've never seen anybody go that far when it's that dry before.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And I was like, well, I guess I had enough momentum. Physics at work.
Well, judging from the food that was at the place, that would be easy for a lot of people to gain momentum, as they say.
Gain momentum. There you go. But yeah, that was fun. The kids enjoyed that. It's like you said, it felt like you were snow tubing, but
yeah,
there was no snow.
But you might get carpet burn. So there was that.
Yeah, our kids did that. They went on their first hike in the Rockies, which was really fun. I was amazed we actually made it because my kids are 6 to 2 years old. So
where did you go hiking?
Yeah, there was a spot just outside of the area we were staying that was kind of like a connected trail.
Oh, okay.
That was really, it was good. It was about a 2-mile hike, so nothing insane, but for the age and stage of our kids, I was glad we made it up and down.
Hannah hiked for 2 miles.
No, we didn't.
You're hardcore,
mostly
man.
the older two that we were glad they made it.
So you'll like this transition.
Okay.
This is a transition of master proportions. So we finished this week in Colorado, which, you know, we're in the Rockies. I don't know what everybody's kids did, but there was the tubing. My kids went canoeing. There was archery,
mini golf,
all these things. I don't think we cracked open a cell phone or iPad or anything while we're in this place in Colorado. Like, it's just, you're out all day long. And I'm like, this is great. We get home and Glenda finds this video from some YouTube family who they write songs about their lives, and they wrote this song called Gen X Summer, and they were explaining all the things that it was like to be a Gen X kid, what you would do in the summer, like you were out all day and jumping across the fence into your best friend's pool when their parents aren't there and all this kind of stuff. And I realized that that's what our kids had, was a Gen X summer. Like, there were no devices, you didn't have a Walkman, you didn't have all this kind of stuff. The transition being, we did a generational sermon, once in a generation sermon. That's what we had on Sunday. And I see you've got this box here, Pastor Matt, called Mind the Gap, and you referenced a couple questions. I'm curious why you have the box.
Yes, well, I thought it would be fun. I mean, 3 of us are from Gen X, and we have a millennial.
Yes, I'm the
and you and I, Brian, have maybe had too much fun with Luke at different points, talking about different things. We've been training him. We've been bringing him into the culture. So, one thing though, I realized this one that I have here is just the questions. So, like, apparently there's actually a game where there's actually like a board game, and you move pieces around. But I was only interested in the questions. So I thought it would be fun to do a little game here. So I'm just going to grab the whole Gen X stack here. Now, I will say, because this is because I had to filter some of them for Sunday morning, and I'm going to kind of look at the answers here.
I was frightened at how excited I got when you asked how far would the Proclaimers have to go. I'm like, I know the answer.
Yes, I believe we had one answer. One person got the boomer question in the second service. I don't think anybody got it in the first service.
When you said the answer, I knew the name, but no, it did not.
Okay, I'm going to give you this one. I mean, this one, Luke. If you don't get this one.
Oh, goodness. This is even more pressure if I don't get it.
What movie? Name the movie.
Karate Kid.
Here's a quote from it. All right. Negative Ghost Rider. The pattern is full.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, yeah.
Luke.
Come on.
Does our producer know the answer to this? Okay.
Oh,
she's also a millennial.
Okay.
Oh, man. I feel like a failure right now.
I pull out that quote occasionally.
All the time.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That was
That's
like
classic.
Wow.
Negative Ghost Rider. Okay, because
the pattern is full.
Yeah. This is.
I know. There's. Okay, I'm gonna take a guess.
I'm thinking it.
Okay, it's Knight Rider. Nope.
No.
That is a good guess for a Gen Xer, but no.
Okay. I know Knight Rider's within the realm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
But no,
Enlighten
this
me.
is a movie.
Okay, the sequel to the movie that came out a year or 2 years ago,
Probably about 2 years now.
Maverick.
No. Okay. This is Top Gun.
Yeah.
This is
Top Gun. Top Gun. The pattern is full. Oh, okay.
He's gonna try to buzz the tower, and so he's requesting permission to buzz the tower. Like no Ghost Rider.
I've seen both. I have seen
And
Top.
then he
I
buzzes
just-
the tower
Okay.
anyway.
He buzzes the tower
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
Because he's mad.
And then they buzz
Yeah.
it again, and the next, and then
Yeah, all that.
And the guy drops the coffee.
Oh, man, yeah.
All right. Here's another. Here we go. Here's another. It's from a TV show.
Okay.
Okay.
Knight Rider.
All right. DJ Tanner on Full House used this phrase that was meant to express enjoyment or agreement.
Now with Brian's face right now, I don't.
Did you ever watch that show?
I never got into
Okay.
it.
I knew that You Got It Dude was one of the younger, but I don't know the
This is the Olsen twins' debut. I know that.
Yeah, I never.
Cool Beans.
Cool
Okay.
Beans.
I didn't know that was from her.
Yeah,
Yes.
I never
I
watched
said that
Full
all-
House.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Nito Burrito.
Hey, if I get this one right, I'm 1 for 3, and that's still
Okay, I
failing.
did this one I said that about it.
Yeah, I know you said about the last one.
In what movie would you find Miracle Max and the Dread Pirate Roberts?
Oh, this is Princess Bride.
Okay, all right.
Well done.
Yes.
All right. He got that one.
That
All right.
transcends generations.
Let's do
That
one
one's-
more
that one's-
here.
yeah, that
Again,
one's
I'm filtering.
I think my kids could have answered that one. But of course, they're being raised by a Gen X.
I mean, yeah, that's.
who's forcing them to relive his childhood.
All right.
Man, that's a lot of filtering.
Yeah, I'm just trying to keep
a lot of
the
polyester in there, or
a lot of well, there'd be ones if he's not gonna
David Cassidy.
he's not gonna
questions.
know it, or for sure not know it, or
Rowdy Piper.
do we want to
questions?
promote that? Okay.
That was for you, the Rowdy Piper.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, let me see
Hulk
what this one
Hogan
is.
passed
I know he
away.
just
Yes.
passed, yeah.
Yeah.
I will not rip my T-shirt for him.
I did learn recently that his first movie.
All right,
was
okay.
Rocky.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Mr. T too. Yeah.
This female became the U.S. sporting icon when she recorded a perfect 10 on the vault
Oh, yeah.
and the floor exercise to win the all-around gold medal in the 1984 Olympics.
She was back in the news.
Okay, I do
Yes,
not.
also
I don't
back
think
in
I
the
remember the
news,
name, but was this the one who she injured her foot and still finished?
No,
Okay,
that was from the
Carrie Strug.
90s.
Yeah, that's like
This is-
15 years later.
Simone.
This is
By a lot.
Yeah. Unfortunately, back in the news for not good things, but Mary Lou Retton.
Oh, really? Okay, I wasn't.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yep.
Now we had the moment here, so now we're gonna pick the millennial cards.
Let's go.
Okay. And I mean, I may not even know these ones here. Let's see. What about this one? This 1997 sports comedy featured a basketball-playing golden retriever who really could shoot baskets.
The Air Bud, wasn't it?
Air Bud. All right,
Yeah.
Brian.
Yeah.
1 for 1.
I haven't seen it, but I've seen the cover.
but I know of it, yeah.
I saw the cover at Blockbuster
right.
once.
Is that what you're? That is a good reference of it being in Blockbuster. I feel like that's
Okay,
That's
all
those
right.
male movie clubs where they would send you
On his talk show, people were infamous for throwing chairs at each other.
Yeah, Jerry Springer.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Wow.
Oh,
or
over this.
Geraldo,
Or two-
or
Wait, did you know that one?
Murray?
I was Mari was another one, but yeah.
Were you on top of that?
No,
Jerry Springer.
not on the
yeah.
talk show.
This is not
usually.
millennial enough, apparently.
Not
Okay,
millennial
yeah, I'm just
enough.
showing my
All right.
background before question work.
All right.
This is
This
like in
this
between classes
hockey
in college.
legend played for the last time in 1999, the all-time points leader with 2,857, and his number 99 jersey was the only one retired by the NHL.
Tiger Woods, man. I'm kidding. No, this is Wayne Gretzky.
Okay.
I was going to go Michael Scott, said by Wayne Gretzky.
Wow. Okay.
Sorry.
All right.
I know it's Wayne Gretzky.
All right. So it's just a little sample. You know, you can have all kinds of fun.
I feel like this is not fair because we've still lived through the millennial side.
I guess
I'm
that's
having to go back in history.
Right.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's see. Oh yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
The boomer one.
Yeah, if you hit Gen Z, I really won't know what's going on.
Okay.
I tried to keep up with my daughter.
Well, I was raised by
All right, here we
boomers, so
go.
I feel like I actually have like a better
This
shot.
easygoing cardigan-wearing singer charted over 100 singles over his 7-decade career and helped pioneer television variety shows in the 1950s.
Oh,
Andy Williams.
No,
No.
I know. Is it Ed Sullivan?
No.
Cardigan wearing. Oh, Mr. Rogers?
No, it's either that or
I'm
Perry
kidding.
Como.
I know it's
Perry
not
Como.
Oh, hey, Perry Como.
Perry Como.
Oh, wow.
You knew that one, right, producer?
Sullivan.
Guy Lombardi
Sullivan
used to
was
play
more of a yeah.
All
Guy Lombardi played the
How
clarinet.
about defining the Motown sound as a miracle? He also was a songwriter of the Temptations hits My Girl, The Way You Do the Things You Do, and Mary Wells' My Guy.
It was Smokey Robinson.
Smokey Robinson.
Wow, well done.
Well, he had another group called the Miracles.
Okay.
That
Well, that was made it too easy.
They made a little give in there. Sorry,
had heard of those
I was
songs.
raised by not boomers. They were older, so I heard many stories.
All right. Let's see. Who's this one?
They were pre-boomers, but barely.
In 1961, what American leader warned about the undue influence of the military-industrial complex, a concerning union of the military and the defense contractors?
U.S.?
Yeah. 1961.
1961.
I would guess Kennedy, but I don't know.
No. President Dwight D. Eisenhower.
Oh.
He was part of that.
So, yeah, that was before all of that. So, anyway, that just
That is fun.
That's just funsies, right?
You just know stuff because you're around.
There you go.
So you are using this to get into the message about how not only are we a multi-generational church, but that God has a multi-generational plan. And I would recommend anyone who's wasn't able to be at church on Sunday or would like to review that to go check out that. But since this is the Sunday morning extra podcast, what is the extra? What didn't you say? What did you leave on the table from Sunday?
Yeah, about 50 plus different books, and I don't know how many.
Because this
articles.
is kind of in line with what you're doing for your doctorate.
Yeah. This is the doctorate. The project is on generational leadership transition. Mm-hmm. So I just scratched the surface. I find the whole idea of the differences of the generation really fascinating. Mm-hmm. And again, a few things that I just said, but really, when you look at when a group of people were born, and particularly what was happening in their formative years, that has a huge impact on them. And so it's not just the fact that you're of the same age, but it's what you went through together, because you can look at those stages of life. I mean, there's things just in your 20s that everybody goes through, and there's things in midlife that everybody goes through. But there was a book that was written. In fact, I shared a couple of quotes with a few of you. I won't scare our audience by actually reading the quote here, but this book was written in 1991, okay? And he goes back basically to the late 1500s, and he's charting the generations since then. And I think he says there was in the U.S., from when people first started coming over, there's about 15 or 18 generations. In fact, interestingly enough here, Gen Xers the term hadn't fully been landed on Gen X yet when he wrote this book in the early 90s. So to him, they were the 13ers because it was the 13th generation.
Oh, okay.
So that would put us at about 15, 16 generations now. But he goes through and looks at all these different things and what's happening culturally, and so much of what happens in one generation is reactive to the previous generation, and things that maybe we would be more familiar with today. Our generation, people called the latchkey kids, where there wasn't a whole lot of safety, and then you move to like a generation of helicopter parents, right? So he charts how the protection of children kind of ebbs and flows over time. Just really, really fascinating. But if you go back and think about like what was going on in the world when when the first Gulf War happened, when 9/11 happened. For me, that was right after I graduated from college. A few months later. But if you were in high school when that happened, that's just from formative years. And then even thinking about, I read an article recently, which is kind of crazy. You think about how quickly time flies. It was basically saying that the COVID babies are all turning like 4 and 5 now, because we're that far out from COVID. And that obviously would be, if that's your formative, if you started high school in 2020, that would be, or actually 2019. So you're in the middle of high school, and then having to finish those next few years So I just find that very fascinating to think about the differences, what formed people. But it's not so much the differences when you see that God is involved in all of that. And another big thing in Scripture, I think I mentioned this in the first service, but I forgot to say it in the second service. But when we were looking at that chart of the time, we've got childhood and we've got adolescence and all that. Really, in the Scripture, the only distinction is made between young and old. And what is associated with young or youth is usually life and energy and some naivety, not a lot of experience. What is associated with the old is more wisdom and experience. And, there's debate over how old was Isaac when Abraham took him up on the mountain. It says a young man or a lad. So we in our mind, we think it's like a little kid, but, so some people say he could have been as old as 30, but he was still a young man for that time period. So there's a whole lot out there. I just find it fascinating. Also, our staff team, we're joking here, but, we've got some Gen Xers and some Millennials on our team, and the distance between one generation and the one right next to it is not as far as when you get 2 and 3 generations out. But again, people's preferred communication style, the way that they talk, even slang language. I think somebody was joking about that earlier. Different things that you would call, here's the language. So it is a source of humor for sure. It's a source of frustration. It's also a source of pain. One thing, I didn't want to bring this up, but there's, I didn't include this in the sermon, but there's stuff right now saying that, the millennials are mad at the boomers because they're just wasting the inheritance and living up the good life. And, that's some friction right there, right? Because of different sets of values and, or one generation says, we'll never be able to buy a home because the rest of these own them and the prices are too high, and just all of that. So we have to take responsibility for our own lives and our own choices. And the church is such a beautiful picture of all of the generations being there together. And we actually all need each other. There are things now where, the three of us, we've been around a long time when we were much younger men, and it was time to like move all the chairs out of town hall and set up the tables, right? And well, now I'm glad there's a whole lot more younger men than me, but that's just part of being together in a bigger community. There's so much that we can learn from each other. So yeah, I've spent hours and hours and hours with probably what I just presented in my intro to kind of just give a taste of it and a flavor. And it's both fascinating on one end and it's sad on another to see that it doesn't have to be negative. And I think what we experience here by and large at Hope is almost all of the benefits of it and very few of the friction points.
I don't know if this is a good question or not. We'll find out. So you had mentioned that you talked with our founding pastor a little bit ago, and you talked about like when the church started in 1978, that really he had 150 years that he was aiming at. So in a sense, all of his tenure as the senior pastor of Hope Church was foundation laying. It wasn't, I don't know what other stages would be, but I mean, in that conversation, did he paint any picture of like, well, with a multi-generational church, these are things that I am hoping to see happen over the next 150 years? Or was it just here's a big number?
No, I mean, the context of the conversation didn't quite answer the question that you're looking at. We were more talking about the conditions under which he was, God was leading him to start Hope. And he had spent a lot of time researching and studying what we'll call movements, different movements of why did some last a long time and why did others fizzle out after not very long. And he felt like God was calling him to start something that would go on for multiple generations. And for that to happen, though, a certain kind of base would have to be built, a certain kind of foundation that really could cut through the challenges and the problems that would come up. So, I mean, this is part of why the heart attitudes are so important to us. They're timeless because they're based on scriptural principles, and it doesn't matter what year it is and how old you are and what all's happened in the world. I mean, those are ways that we need to treat each other and live in community. Also having a strong desire to reach out to people that are far from Christ, and creating church, for lack of a better word, church systems that support that support both the ability to reach out to people and to help people grow. So this is where there might be churches that really have a heart to reach out to people, but if things aren't set up to be welcoming and actually serve and make sense to the people that you're trying to reach, well, then you're not going to be able to do that, right? So a lot of different things went into building this foundational layer, but he wasn't interested in just, well, I'm just going to be a pastor for a few years. I want to create something that has the potential to last for multiple generations. And I think, to paraphrase, the best place I can find this was from John Maxwell. And my paraphrase of it is, no success without succession. So really, it's in the generations to come where you really see the success of what happened previously. So that's why, again, the passing of the baton and the relay is such powerful imagery, because, one person can run like the 100-meter and do that by themselves. But to basically run 100 meters and then pass it to the next person, that takes a lot. But then for that person to pass it to someone and that person to pass something, then you've got something that can go on and it's sustainable. So that also, is a part of how do we, and we've completed our what I'm calling senior leadership transition here. And that was completed in 2020, but we have a whole group of rising leaders, and we need to be training a lot more leaders, especially in light of our 2028 vision. So I like to say right now, it's like, thank God for all the leaders we have, but we probably need about twice as many or more than we currently have. So we need to keep training and raising the next generation.
Yeah, you mentioned, I think this was a phrase used in one of the services of we need we need all hands on deck. I was wondering if you could color that in just a little bit more. Because I know, like when I was growing up, going to church, it was a place you went to, you worship God, and you did the rest of your life all week long. I wouldn't know what all hands on deck for a church looks like. Like, I'm gonna come to church and worship more intently, or I'm gonna stack those chairs a little faster. Like, what does all hands on deck look like?
Yeah, so I think let me start with like an example of if you're starting a church. Okay, I've never started a church, but I have a lot of friends who have, and I've looked at it, and if they were sitting here, I think they would tell you what I'm about to tell you. It's pretty well documented and proved that when you start a church, the pastor coming in who starts the church can probably reach a group by and large about 10 years plus or minus his own age. So if a 30-year-old was starting the church, you could reach, and this is reaching adults, not necessarily the kids of the adults, but you could have college students coming around, maybe 18, and then up to 40s and midlife, but and then you're going to have maybe people on into their 50s or 60s who feel, and I identify not in like the weird cultural way now, but they just like they act more, and they're younger than their biological age. You know what I mean? But to have an 80-year-old in a brand new church start, unless it's Jerry Roberts looking for the next church to be a part of, is probably very rare, right? So what tends to happen is the pastor starts the church, gathers a group, but then the church grows and matures, and those 20-year-olds one day become 50-year-olds, and those 40, 45-year-olds now are 60, 65-year-olds, 70-year-olds. So what we have experienced here at Hope is we are a multi-generational church, and that is hugely related to the fact that we're 47 years old, right? We didn't, I remember Pastor Harold used to tell this story from the early years where he said there was somebody, it's like, well, I just amazed that you have so many young people around, and it's like, well, that was true because it was a newer church at the time. Now, typically what happens is the church, and this is like a whole big church life cycle, is that churches, they reach this mature part, and then unless there's an intentionality to be multi-generational and keep reaching back, then churches, this is why we're seeing a lot of churches die now, where they're churches that might be 50, 60, 70 years old, and since they've been at church, and there's no one under the age of 60 at the church. So you keep moving through time and growing, but you have to intentionally be younger, and you have to intentionally do things to keep reaching new families. And new families is really where you can most, I believe, impact the next generation, because you've got the parents, you've got the kids, you've got their whole lives. And then you want to continue to love and help grow and care for everybody that you have. So you see this sort of this natural, time moving by. So where we're at now is as a church, we are older than we've ever been.
I know that feeling.
And I mean, literally though. So for years, Pastor Harold, he's almost 80 now, And he was one of the oldest people at the church when he was in his 30s, when he was in his 40s, when he was in his 50s, when he was in his 60s. He was one of the oldest people. Well, now he's still one of the oldest people, but you look back from him, and so the collective group has expanded in age, you know. So what that means is, this is a really long answer, but this is a long form podcast,
it's a
right?
podcast, man.
It's a really long answer to say, what do I mean by when we need all hands on deck? One of those things that it means is that we're going to have to create some new ministries and new opportunities that we've never needed before. And because the group is in a different place than it was. I mean, one of the things, Jeremy, you led a group back in the spring, basically for retired guys that met here at the building on a weekday morning. Now, have we had men's groups forever, and some of them tend to skew maybe a little older? Absolutely. And then there's a couple of young guys in there that really get it and want to learn from the older guys, which is awesome. Well, this particular group that you led in the spring, and another guy has led one this summer, this is kind of the same group, is say, well, we now have enough of a group of guys that are retired that are available at 10 o'clock on a Tuesday morning to have group. And not only are they available, and this is something that, I mean, for me personally, it's hard to think this way, but not too hard, because when I look at the age of my parents and my wife's parents, is that there's a group of people that don't want to drive at night. Right. I mean, we don't have that option right now, you know. I mean, we got to get our kids places. We got to pick them up and take them places, or whatever it is. So I'm like, I'm going to drive at whatever time. I'm going to drive home from the airport at 3 a.m. But you reach a stage in life that's different. This is kind of that third that I was talking about. So I would say for most of Hope's history, say the first 35 to 40 years of our church history, we really only had the first and second thirds. And now, as the church approaches 50 years, we have all 3 thirds. And we need to start thinking about what are ministries to serve and ways for those to serve that are in that third, because God wants to use all of us our entire life, as long as we have breath in our lungs. So we have to become more creative. We have to think about things a little bit differently. So there are things that we haven't done that we need to do, and I don't even know what some of those things are yet. I just know we're going to have to think them up. We're going to have to figure them out, and we're going to have to do them. And so one of the things that I feel like I launched it on Sunday. You know, I need to check with David and see if anybody wrote the name, filled out their connection card. But one of the things that occurred to me is we have some people at Hope who, for whatever reason, they're just not in a physical place to, serve in the kids ministry. Maybe it's hard for them to stand and be a greeter or whatever it is. And a dream that I've had for a number of years, and Jerry and I talked a lot about this, but just we could never make it happen, was what if we had a team of people praying during the service? And that's their area of service, just like somebody's in kids ministry and they're teaching a lesson, or somebody's on the coffee team and they're making coffee and they're putting it out. What if you're in a room, sitting in a chair, and you're praying? And we as the church would provide a prayer guide, things that we could be praying for our church, for our outreach efforts, and those things. So I said, if you can sit in a chair and you can pray, then you can be on this team. Well, we haven't previously, I think, thought about that before, So this is all hands on deck, and we want everybody to be a part. And what we know is that as you're more involved with things, as you're participating, well, then God uses that to grow us and stretch our faith, but it also increases our buy-in. It increases our feeling of connectedness, and this is a we thing, right? Not a they thing. So what I want to do is I want to lean into, I want to capitalize on the fact that God has blessed us with these multiple generations. So how do we find something for all of them to do that's meaningful towards the mission that God's given us?
Very good. I'm trying like, what are questions I can ask you guys to bring you in on this? I don't have any. I'm so sorry. Do you have anything to add?
I think just one of the things is like, it was encouraging for me is like, I'm one of the newer staff members, just to thinking about the history of, as I oversee the family ministry, just the thought intentionality that we've had within our kids ministry and within what we want for our kids and students when they graduate, when they what type of people do we want them to become? And so we had a promotion ceremony actually on the same Sunday as our anniversary of basically kids who are leveling up into whether it's preschool to elementary or elementary to middle school. And it was just, for me, it was just it was fun to do that with the kids and to celebrate the kids who are aging up and celebrate that, hey, they have the opportunity to, I think you mentioned, learn and set the example in this next stage. So for those who are moving to a new stage, they have a lot to learn from those who are above them. And then as new kids are moving up, the kids who are currently in that stage, they can really set the example. And so for me, I have a 6-year-old, and so just I think for him in his class, some of his teachers have been talking about how they want the kids who are already there to help be leaders for the younger kids, not necessarily like they're actually leading the program, but they're leading by example. And so I think that concept is really encouraging, that wherever you're at, you can be a leader for the people who are younger than you. Wherever you're at, you can be friends with those who are in your stage and encouraging, but then also how do you look ahead of who are the people ahead of me that I really need to be following? And so for me, that it was a principle that I think that I learned from Sunday, was that applies that no matter where you're at on the age spectrum, the stage of life spectrum, that you can really, God's called you to do that. And you may be starting a little bit later if you've had a relationship with Christ, that you became to know Christ later, that maybe you're not as far ahead spiritually as other people in your stage, but still God really can use you with the people he's placed around your life who maybe don't know Christ yet, that you can help call them forward. Or maybe they just became Christians, you can call them forward. And so I think that principle doesn't just only apply on age or development, it applies on a variety of different factors.
It was like in that stickman diagram that you had, where you'd have somebody ahead of you, somebody to your side, a peer that you're walking with, and then also I love that you had protege, but you have somebody that you're looking backward and trying to help them move forward. And I was standing next to a guy in the AV booth, and he, has a quote unquote regular job out there in the world. He said, man, most people are not thinking about that. Most people might be concerned about who their peers are. They might be concerned about who is mentoring them, but to look backward and to try to bring up the next generation, that is, we're naturally self-centered and self-interested. And so it is hard I want to be mentored to because that will help me advance. But to look back, I don't get anything out of, on the surface of things. I'm not gaining anything by looking at the generation behind me and pouring into them, because when they're where I am, I'm probably either further along or dead. So I don't get a lot out of that in that whole self-interested thing. But that's totally important to keep things moving along.
Yeah, and I think the interesting thing when it comes to that is, they say like if you're going to be able to teach something, then you have to know it better, right? Well, it's actually, there are these intangible benefits that you receive when you're mentoring other people, because there's times where you're like, oh wow, I didn't know that I knew that. So then getting to see someone, we can learn from our experience, or we can learn from someone else's experience. And I prefer to learn the hard lessons from someone else's experience. And there are some hard lessons that I have learned from other people's experience, and there are some hard lessons I've learned from my own experience. And if I could be that other person's experience of a hard lesson for somebody behind me, well, that's going to save them a lot of pain and a lot of grief. So there's, you do it for them, but then this is one of those ones where, like, as you serve and as you do other things, like, you do receive benefits out of it. So, but I think that one of the things with mentoring is, and again, I didn't have time to go into all this. I think I might have said it briefly, but there's formal and there's informal, and so I spent, like I said, hours and hours and hours looking at different generational things. I've spent hours and hours looking at different mentoring models and those things as well. And there's some people that say, like, a mentor is a lifelong relationship and you do this and that. And there's others, that say mentoring is, even as simple as when Coach Brian showed Kai how to, catch the ball.
It's the alligator.
Yeah. Right? And then anything in between. And I believe that there are some mentors that are maybe lifelong mentors. Most of my mentors have been what I call for a season. And some of those seasons were longer than others. And they have helped me in different ways as I have grown. And I am extremely appreciative and grateful for all of them, today from where I sit, because they were a part of me becoming who I am. And I have different types of relationships with them, the ones I would consider, past season mentors. But it doesn't have to be this big formal thing. It can be very informal. Also, this is where if someone will present themselves as humble and teachable and just like a sponge and want to learn, then you can get all kinds of informal mentoring from all kinds of people. It doesn't mean that they're going to have the answer for every single specific thing that you're dealing with, but if you approach that, I could probably learn something from anyone. My mechanic who doesn't know Jesus, I probably don't want to get spiritual advice from him, but he can sure teach me something about my car, right? But if you keep that posture, well, then you can learn from anyone, and there's all kinds of people ahead of you that you can learn from. So it's, that's where I was just kind of that final challenge of, what if we all approached it with, I gotta have people to run alongside me, but who am I looking at, and then who am I looking back to? And even, you got 3 kids, and you can see that unfold in your own family, because Hallie's in the middle.
Yep.
There's something she can learn from Zach, and there's something she can teach Hannah.
Yeah.
And it really doesn't matter how old you are. But if everybody was doing that, then everybody would get to benefit. Now, I realize once you get to the very top of that scale, there may not be very many people ahead of you.
Yeah.
But then really what your great task is to finish well. Because everybody behind you is looking at you. And, you finish well, or you don't, and then there's a ripple effect that can happen behind you. So yeah, I think the idea of mentoring, sometimes we make too big of a deal of it, and it's too formal, and it's like somebody, if a random person, I realize we're talking about mentoring now, if somebody was to come up to me and be like, Pastor Matt, would you be my mentor? First thing I would ask them is, what do you mean by that?
Yeah,
because you got to define the relationship, and what does that even look like? But it can look a lot of different ways. However it looks, it's something though that we need in our life. We're not meant to just go it alone, and I think that's one of the unfortunate side effects. There are so many things that we unfortunately learn from our culture. And this next series that we're going to start on Sunday, I don't want to give too much of it away right now, but one of the things we're going to tackle in the first message in the beginning of the series is that I think there's something very unhealthy that we have learned from our culture and we're going to try to understand what's the biblical standpoint of it, and how can we not just conform to culture, but be transformed. And once we get past that, then we realize, this is a negative thing that's really easy to be picked up because of the culture we live in.
That's really good, because I was going to transition to a preview of the Financial Squeeze series.
Yes.
But since you don't want to give anything away, I won't.
Well, you can tell them what the series is about.
Yeah. What is the series about?
What's the series about?
I don't know. What do you want to
Tell me.
No, the series is called Financial Squeeze, and I think it's safe to say, I discovered a kind of a depressing chart. One of the things I looked at was like the rate of inflation over the last 5 years.
Oh, that's
here's the good news: we're actually back down to more like 2% now. The peak about 3 years ago was 8-something%.
Yeah.
And so we're closer down into the normal range.
It's still growing, but less.
But not being an economist, I don't know. Do you count like? It's all cumulative. So the inflation since 2020, it was like 3%, and then like 3.5%. So that's like about, we'll just call it 7 plus the 8. So now we're at 15 plus 2 more. That's 16, 17 plus 2 more. That's 18, 19. Everything's almost 20% more than it was.
The inflation is still growing, but the rate at which it's growing has gone way down.
Right. So all that to say is, people are feeling a squeeze in a lot of different areas. I also heard recently, I don't remember the number off the top of my head, but what does it cost to raise a child?
A lot of money
over their lifetime, and then you times that by however many children you have. So we're all feeling this financial squeeze. That's a normal part of life, and so we're just going to take a look at what does the Bible say about how we should approach money, who's the one that ultimately provides for us. And again, in the beginning first message, I think there's some things that we're going to take a little bit of a history lesson to understand part of the current climate that we live in right now, and then really look and say, well, what does God say about how things should be? God ultimately takes care of us, but I would say there are, whether you want to call them conditions or principles that we need to live by in doing it God's way for us to act within His boundaries. And a lot of times what we want to do is we want to be way outside of those boundaries, and we want Him to rescue us. And that's usually not how He operates. But we need to live within those boundaries. And what are those boundaries, and how do we get there?
Very good. Well, I think financial issues, I think everybody feels them. Like, I may have more money than you, or you may have more money than me, but we both probably still feel like if we just had a little more, some of life would fix itself and we'd have a little more room. And so I'm looking forward to this series. I think if you are watching or listening to this, you have people that would also greatly benefit from this. So it's a series launch. It's a 3-week series.
Yeah, 3-week series.
We're going to do donuts and kick the whole thing off. So if you know people that this would be they've tried a bunch of stuff with their money. They just haven't quite been able to pull things together and are open to finding maybe a different way. And the Bible teaches, practical ways to not only handle our money, but to think about our money, which comes ultimately from God's hand. Invite them, bring them out to church on Sunday, and we'll have a good time with our financial squeeze. Just realized we should have had oranges.
There you go.
Well, it's only Monday. We probably still could pull something off.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that a lot of people will be coming.
Don't promise oranges.
I know. We're not going to do donuts. We're just going to have freshly squeezed orange juice. No one's going to come to that. We already have freshly squeezed orange juice, sort of. It was freshly squeezed once.
Yeah, somebody squeezed it.
Somebody squeezed it at some point. All right. Well, y'all have a great week. We'll see you back here on the Sunday Extra podcast, episode 2, next week.